Sisters, welcome to the continuation of our fifth class, concise presentation on the fifth. Today is the 5th of Rabee Al-Aakhir, 1445 after Hijrah, and Wednesday, the 18th of October 2023. We're continuing the topic of marriage. We're on page 371 for those of you who are following us with the book.
الخطبة, start engagement.
So today's we start with the proposal.
No.
The proposal is proposal for marriage given to a woman through the means that are well known amongst the people. If the other party agrees, this is simply a promise to marry and nothing else. The fiancé and the fiancée have no further special relation, and they are still considered as not related to each other until they finally do wed. It's not permissible for a Muslim to make a marriage proposal against that of his brother. Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbade selling against one another and making a marriage proposal against one's brother's proposal until he gives up that proposal or gives a proper permission to do so.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa wala. Al-khitbah, which we call an engagement or the proposal. And the proposal is considered in Islam as to be khitbah. So if we have an agreement that this girl will marry this person, so until she's married, she's called makhtuba. That means she's being engaged. And the Prophet ﷺ had made that as like a promise, but it's not for the two couple to start talking to each other without a mahram. So it is not basically, she's still a strange woman, she's still not his wife, but it is just like a promise that the marriage will take place to you. Now, in terms of permissibility to get engaged to this girl while she is engaged to the other person, then it is haram and forbidden. If somebody knows that this person had been approved to get married to this sister, then he's not allowed to go to the family of those people and present himself as an offer. And you start offering them even better dowry or something like this. But if there was no promise of marriage, so basically he came to see the fiancée, the woman, the potential wife, and the family of the sister, the wife of the woman, they said, we will look into it. But having given the approval, then there's no harm of other people coming forward to ask for the hand of that girl. So you have to understand this is very important. So if there was an approval that you are going to be, well, we are happy with you, they're not allowed to receive any more proposals. But if they were just thinking about it, and maybe waiting a bit, maybe another offer will come, but not on the expense of saying to that person, we'll come back to you in a week, and then you start extending. So maybe you're going to open the door, for other people, and it's not correct. But you could just extend it another week, no problem. You say to my brother, I'm just still thinking about it. While you're thinking about it, for a proposal for your daughter or your sister, there's no harm to receive another proposal. So the prohibition can be also taken away if the person who had proposed to this sister and then there was an approval. So this prohibition can be lifted if this person who has been agreed upon to allow the second person to go and propose. Okay, brother, go and have a proposal if you want. I don't mind. So if he gave him permission, this first fiancé, to the other person to go ahead, okay, maybe he had just said, maybe the brother is better than me as a candidate to the sister. Go ahead, if you accept you, I don't mind, no problem, inshallah. Fatima bint Qais, radiallahu anha, when her husband died, she had two people approached her. First, Muawiyah, the second one, Abu Jahl. So Muawiyah, she did not give him the go-ahead. She was still hesitant. Because of that, she had received another proposal from Abu Jahl. So the Prophet ﷺ never said to her, you're not supposed to receive two proposals. But she went to the Prophet ﷺ, she said, two people have come to me to ask for my hand. He said, don't marry either of them. And I told you about this hadith last time. So marry Usama ibn Zayd. Now, am I allowed to propose to a woman whom she is in her iddah period? Tfadl.
It's not permissible to propose to a woman who is experiencing a revocable divorce. It's also not allowed to make an explicit statement proposal to a woman who is experiencing a irrevocable divorce or is in her waiting iddah period after becoming widowed. However, in these two latter cases, one may make an indirect statement alluding to a proposal.
Okay, right. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِيمَا عَرَّضْتُمْ بِهِ مِنْ خِطْبَةِ النِّسَاءِ أَوْ أَكْنَنْتُمْ فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ. Translation of which, please?
And there's no sin on you if you make a hint of betrothal or conceal it in yourself. Allah knows that you will remember them, but do not make a promise or contract with them in secret except that you speak an honorable saying.
Right. So just make sure that you understand what is the woman in her iddah period. A woman, she's been divorced first time or the second time, we call it revocable divorce. She's in her iddah, we call it cooling off period. That iddah, in that particular case, a person may not present himself explicitly or implicitly, because she's still his wife. So a man divorces his wife once or the second time, because it's not the third time. The third time is different because she can't return to him. So if they are within the period, which we call it al-iddah, cooling off period, which is 3 menses if she's not pregnant. If she's pregnant until she delivers a baby, in that time, she's still in the husband's house. She's still the wife, even though she's divorced. She still will inherit him if he dies, and he will inherit her if she dies. So he's not allowed to come, if he heard about this divorce, this person and say to him, you got a better person than him, just leave him. It's not allowed, explicitly or implicitly. The second type, on the third type, on the fourth type, on all types of iddah, you're not allowed to present yourself explicitly. Do you understand that? Explicitly is not allowed in any type of iddah. But in implicit, that means you're not really saying it directly, correctly, like straight away, I want to marry you. Then there is a possibility here. But let's just have to detail the iddah. So we have an iddah now of a woman whom her husband died. You know that her husband died. I'm not going to go back again and marry her again because dead. Okay, so that's a woman. And a woman whom she had a divorce which is irrevocable. Irrevocable here, it is like that she is, number one, she's been divorced the third time. It's called irrevocable. That means she cannot go back to him until she marries somebody else. But she still has to have iddah. Scholars are different even period of iddah. How much is it? Some scholars like Ibn Taymiyyah says 1 month, and some say no, 3 months, 3 menses. But this is not cooling off period because not allowed to go back to her until she marries a new husband. And another irrevocable, which is the one khula'. Khula' is that the wife, she asks for the divorce from her husband, and she will give like a compensation, maybe part of her dowry or all her dowry, and then her husband will accept to divorce her. And that is called khula', and that is not counted from the divorce whatsoever. So you could have 100 khula', but the divorce have to be maximum 3 times. So the khula' is the woman she asks, and he will give her compensation, and he will accept to give her the divorce, and that's called khula'. Once the khula' takes place, there is no such thing cooling off period, but there is iddah, which is a 1 month to make sure that she's not pregnant, in order when she gets married to somebody else, that this is clean, the womb is clean. But it is not a cooling off period, because as soon as the khula' takes place, it's the dissolving of the marriage. There's no marriage. Whereas the other divorce with the man, he's the one who divorced the woman, then that type of divorce, we call it raj'i, reversible, revocable. Okay? That means she's still there in his house. You could just one day bring her back. She's his wife, because as I said, she still inherits from him. So these types of iddah that we said, which is the iddah which is not the reversible, irreversible, like after 3 divorces, like the woman she is as well, her husband died, like the woman she had a khula, there is no harm within that iddah period, regardless of how long it is. Because remember, if her husband is dead, it's 4 months and 10 days. Or she's pregnant until she delivers a baby. Within that time, no problem that if you had given a proposal implicitly. How is a proposal implicitly? Like, for example, you go to the house to offer the condolences, for example, because of the death of that person. There will be, of course, not you and her own, but there will be other people. And you would say, MashaAllah, Abdullah, whatever her name is, or kunya, Abdullah, MashaAllah, you are a woman, you will find no difficulty to find another husband. This is a hint. You're not proposing yourself. It's a hint. You're no difficulty for you, inshallah, to get a potential husband. Everybody is, you're a good sister. That's a hint. But it's not, you can't just say, as soon as the hint is finished, I'm going to marry you. That's haram. Same thing when she is after the irrevocable, after 3 divorces. Same thing when the khula takes place. Okay, all of that is allowed for you to do implicit statement, not explicit. I hope that I made it as detailed and easy as possible for you. Now, let's say he had made a contract in the iddah period and he had intercourse with her. So he made a iddah. Not talking about the reversal. Reversal, she still is wife. I don't think her husband will allow her to do that. Talking about like that she's been divorced 3 times or her husband died within the iddah, that she had made a contract and he had made an intercourse. Then straight away, with consensus of all scholars, they have to be separated. That marriage is void, is invalid, is nulled. Okay. Now, is he allowed to marry her after the iddah period, or is he going to be punished, deprived from her? No, he's allowed to marry her after her iddah is finished, according to the majority of the scholars. But all the scholars, they said that marriage is dissolved straight away, is nulled, void. How can you marry her during the iddah time? As for the person who had explicitly made a statement to a widow or a woman who's got a revocable, explicitly, I'm going to get married to you, and they did not marry her during the iddah, but afterwards, the marriage is okay, but he's what? Sinful. Okay, if he said to her, I'm going to marry you after the iddah is finished, it's haram. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, قال أو أكننتم في أنفسكم. It's inside yourself, but not explicit. So it's haram. But if he had made the marriage after the iddah, then the marriage is okay. But within the iddah, the marriage is void. Now, we say that it's allowed for the women to beautify themselves in order to be marketed, if you understand me, to be asked for, so to beauty herself. Once she goes to the weddings, for example, she shows herself to the women that she's a beautiful woman and she is available in the market if anybody wants to. And usually the mothers are looking for sisters for their children. They will always pick and choose. They'll ask. And so many marriages took place because they were invited to the marriage. And by the way, it's 8 o'clock. Sorry about that. I will do the adhan, inshallah. We'll continue on. Oh, is it? Okay, so I'll just give 2 minutes, inshallah. And we have the story of Abu Sanabil. Abu Sanabil is Ibn Ba'kak. He was with Sabi'ah bint al-Harith. Sabi'ah, her husband, died. And when her husband died, Sa'd ibn Khawla, who's the one, her husband, who died, as soon as he died, she was pregnant. And as soon as he died, she delivered a baby. So let's say he died today, she delivered the baby the following day. So as soon as she delivered the baby, and as soon as her iddah, which is the 40 days, the men's postnatal blood is finished, straight away she beautified herself to the people who wants to marry her. That means it shows as well permissibility to show the face. That's a permissibility to show the face. Now, this Abu Sanabil ibn Ba'kak, he saw her. He said, oh, I see that you have beautified yourself, looking for a husband. but you can't do that except for the longer of the two periods. Because her husband has died, then there's 4 months and 10 days. And also, if she's pregnant, then until she delivers her baby, he says to her, it's for the longer of the two periods. So if the period of the delivering the baby is longer, then you go for that time. Do you understand? And if it is for the one which is a 4 months and 10 days, you delivered the baby yesterday, you don't have to go wait for 4 months and 10 days. She went to the Prophet. Prophet said, Kadaba Muslim. He's not right. Kadaba means he's wrong. Akhta. Kadaba Muslim. So, وأولاة الأحمال, the ones who are pregnant, أجلهم أن يضعن. That is the time for their period is that to deliver their baby. So this shows us as well that the woman, soon as this period is finished, and also any woman that she wants to beautify herself for other people to marry her, there's no harm for this. And we have as well the hadith of Usama ibn Zayd radiallahu anhu. When he was a kid, he was tripped over, he cut himself, and there was some sort of as well mucus in there and coming out. The wives of the Prophet, they were sort of disgusted not to go and clean him. He, the Prophet of Allah himself, he cleaned it himself. He said, Wallahi, if he was a little girl, you would have never hesitated to go and beautify him, to make him as available to the people who wants to marry. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. We'll continue inshallah to the prayer.
Those just joining us after the prayer, well, the topic of the concise presentation of Fiqh, we're discussing the Fiqh of marriage, and we're under the subsection of the marriage contract.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawala. Continue now with the nikah itself, the contract marriage, what it is comprises.
There are two essential components of marriage contract. Firstly, the offer, and secondly, the acceptance.
So you have to have an offer and acceptance. There's no such thing as a word being specified here. I present you the hand of my daughter such and such. We just say, we want to, so we would start with the person who's offering. Okay, you're offering your daughter. Yes. You're accepting. Yes, that's it. So it doesn't have to really something to be rehearsed here, a sentence or something like this. It could be anything. So as long as there is a ijab and qabul, there's a prayer offering and there is acceptance. Now coming to the conditions. So these are the two pillars. And this acceptance and offering can be done even online. Okay, now we come to the conditions for it to be valid. Number one.
The first condition is the permission of the guardian.
Guardian means the wali. He is the closest male relative to the woman. And if the woman, she is to marry somebody who is no good, he will be the most affected person. So if she has a father, of course the father takes priority. If she had no father, then the grandfather would take over. She had no father, grandfather, but she had a brother. The brother would take over. And if she had a brother and she was married before and she had a son, then the son would take priority. But if in case the son that does not accept, because usually the son would be jealous for his wife, for his mother to go and marry somebody other than his father, even if his father died or even his father divorced him, then we will say that the brother can take over. And if the father was present, all of them are present, none of them is accepting, and the candidate is good, but based upon race or anything which is not justified religiously, then the woman, she's not allowed to go and marry herself by herself or go to a masjid where they don't ask for the presentation or the wali to be present, like the Hanafi madhab. Hanafi madhab, even you go there, that there is their contract marriage, it doesn't have even a slot there for the wali. Even it's not just to say that the wali is recommended, it's not even needed. So, and even they will tell the woman, and I know this for a fact, some of them, they will say, if anybody told you that you need a wali and this is invalid, let him talk to us. It's like they're challenging, subhanAllah. Abu Hanifa rahimahullah did this because he was, depending upon a statement. That was wrong. So they said that like the woman, she's allowed to use her money without the permission of her father or her husband. They said she's allowed to go and offer herself. But we have a hadith here. Prophet ﷺ said, any woman, she offers herself for marriage without a wali, then her marriage is not just once, he said, invalid, void, he said void, 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 multiple, 3 times, void to the power 3. In maths, void to the power 3. So this is to emphasize. So the wali, if he, for any sake of any reason, which is not justified, didn't accept, the woman, she's allowed to raise her matter, if she wishes, to the judge or to the imam, if you don't have a judge like this country here, an imam of the, who's a local imam, or maybe the Sharia council. They will take over. It takes a bit of time, but don't expect, in such a way they're going to go, okay, we'll waive the approval of the wali straight away, we'll just waive it out, and we'll get you married. It doesn't work like that. Because you see, the person who usually closest to the woman, like the father, he can see things that the wife, the daughter, the sister, she can't see. Because they're men, and they know the men, how they think. So some of the women, as soon as they see that the man is laugh to her, smile to her, make a fool of her, she will fall into his trap. That's why the husband, sorry, the father, is there to investigate and grill him. We are men, we know. And we'll ask the most important things. So she raises her matter to the wali, which is like the imam or the judge. The judge then, he will start negotiating with the wali first. Can't just go ahead straight away and getting her married without the approval of her wali. So if he had arrived to the conclusion that her father, he has no right whatsoever to stop this woman to marry this very good potential husband, then he could just overrule. Okay, he could just bypass his approval, and he would write to him a letter or a message or an email, saying to him that you need to do that. You're going to lose your daughter, especially in a community now. She doesn't need the approval of anyone to fornicate rather than to go and marry. So why, as a wali, you want to lose your daughter? You lose your element to be there to approve her marriage, even though it is against your wish, because he's not from the same clan and he's not from the same tribe. He's not Chaudhry, they call it Chaudhry, and he's not whatever the special class here. Yeah, that's what the people, they said she's not. Subhanallah. Prophet ﷺ, he commanded this Sabi'a radiallahu anha, not Sabi'a, she's bint Qais. She had commanded her to marry Usama, and Usama was black, and she's not black. And Usama is not really known, he's just like the son of a slave. Zayd ibn Harith is her father's slave. So she said, Usama should Usama, that would be good for you. And she made marriage Usama, and when the marriage took place, there's a lot of reward for her, whether it's financially or barakah. Now, here doesn't really present you with the condition for the wilayah. So we need to know what are the conditions that the wali should fulfill in order to be a fit wali. Number one, he has to be a Muslim. So if she comes from a branch where her father is not a Muslim, then he's not a wali. So if her brother is a Muslim, her father is not a Muslim, okay? Is that understood? So it has to be a Muslim. So there's no wilayah for the non-Muslims. If it's her father non-Muslim, or her family, all of her family non-Muslim, then the imam of the masjid or the judge will take over. Secondly, he has to be an adult. He has to be an adult. It can't be the wali who's not an adult. If he's not an adult, a brother, or whatever, the father's going to be an adult, but I'm just saying the brother or the son of hers from another marriage, he cannot be a wali if he hasn't reached the age of puberty. Thirdly, he has to be free. Slaves cannot be, slaves cannot be as well a wali. I know that slavery and all of that maybe is not relevant for us these days, but you need to know the fiqh of that. Fourthly, he has to be a male. So the wali is a male, cannot be a wali as a female. Right? Now, you have noticed in these 4 conditions that I mentioned, none of them says it has to be adl, has to be a pious person. No. So if this wali is a person who's the father of that woman, he is a drunkard, a fornicator, but still a Muslim, we have to seek his permission. We cannot just waive out his permission because simply that he's drunk, or he gets drunk and he's always womanizing and always, still a Muslim, his wilayah is there. Okay. Yes, he does these sins, but it doesn't make him. So it is not a condition for the wali to be, as I said, a pious person, or a person even in praise. As long as we are from the side of those who say the one who does not pray out of laziness, he's still a Muslim. Because if you have said that he's not a Muslim, then he's not going to be a wali. The second condition is that
the presence of witnesses.
Aisha radiallahu anha, she said, the Prophet said, there's no nikah except with a wali and two witnesses which are pious. Adl. Here, very important issue, Khwari. The shahiday has to be number of conditions. Number one condition, they have to be Muslim. And on top of that, they have to have adalah. I mean, they're not criminals. They have to be praying the 5 daily prayers. And that's very important. Where are the ones who conduct marriages that would ask, do you pray 5 daily prayers? Because you cannot be fit to be a shahid, a witness. Usually it's the case, we find people making witnesses, one from his side and one from her side. Drawn up, one from the bride side and one from the groom side. Regardless of what that person prays, or just hardly embrace Islam even, it's not correct. It has to be a person who is adl, shahida, adlin. It has to be. Thirdly, he has to be, of course, and by the way, I forgot to mention a condition for the wali, which is always is together with the bulugh, and that is insane. He has to be sane. If he's insane, the wali cannot be a wali. Okay, sanity. Same thing here. We have he has to be sane. This person who is shahid, and also he has to be an adult. Okay, so the young person or the insane testimony cannot be accepted. Right. So we have finished now the 4 conditions, I should say, and 5 conditions for the wali. 4 conditions is Islam, Adalah, and intellect, the same, and also being an adult. Is it permissible to have women as witnesses? Difference among the scholars. But we know for every 2 women, there's one equivalent to a man. But it's not all the time, Ikhwani. It's not all the time. 2 women, these are mentioned for the sake of, debts and loans because they forget the women. But sometimes 1 woman is enough. Can anybody tell me a case where the woman is enough as a witness? It's usually 2 witnesses, huh? Well done. Breastfeeding, he said. MashaAllah. And then Ramadan, very good memory. So if the woman, she's breastfed somebody, then her testimony is enough. Even if you think that she's lying just to separate between you and the fiancé of yours. I'm giving both of you suckling. Okay. I'm not saying it has to be like this woman lives in China and you are living in Pakistan. It doesn't work like that. But let's say she lives in the locality and usually there's a communication there. It happened that you drank from her milk and that fiancé of yours drank from her milk. Okay. Then she becomes your mother and you become brother and sister. So you would say, well, I know that she has 100% said this because she doesn't want me to marry to that woman. Well, there's no such thing that we could prove that. So her word, Prophet said, is enough. Because we don't want to be living in doubt. I'm marrying somebody, it could be my sister in milk. So there's no such thing that could really gamble with this. So that's a woman, 1 woman. In the cases of where only men are involved to know these things, women testimony is not it. We're going to talk about testimony when it comes to the chapter, but this is out of curiosity. For example, let's say that to say that the person had fornicated, we need how many witnesses? 4. There's no such thing, women. 2 women and 3 men, for example. No, it has to be 4 men. Because women, they are not meant to, see somebody fornicating and their, modesty can allow them to go and look there and see the thing into the thing. Different from the men. Because the actual fornication has to take place. And the actual seeing, like he said, al-mikhal fil mirwa. That is the private part into the private part. So this is not for the women. So women's testimony in this such thing is not accepted. Now, if the marriage took place and there was no witnesses, but there was a party with this, and they didn't know, that's enough. Because the 2 witnesses just to make sure that this marriage is known to everyone. That's what it is. So if there was presence of Muslim people, and there was no saying witness to see and to see. No, those are enough. See, the witness is to make sure not just the marriage is taking place, that the women's consent was there. So with the person who's taken the place of making the marriage, he will take the two witnesses and then ask the bride that these are the terms for you going to get into marriage contract with this man. Are you satisfied? The two witnesses has to hear her approval. That's what it is. Make sure that you're ready to say yes or no. That's a very important issue. But if everybody's there, alhamdulillah, everybody's witness, no problem. Let's say one person was testified, and then after a while, there was another person. Let's say, for example, one person had testified, and the marriage was conducted openly, not secretly. But one there was another witness being added, no problem, because it's important. Let's say people didn't know, so he made it with one witness. Okay, but he had made it open, not secretly hidden, openly in the masjid where there's a person. He's the person who's making the contract, and later on, once they knew that there is two witnesses, added another one, no problem, inshallah. Because usually it is when you have marriage, a sheikh taking place, we can't just separate like that. It has to be a very strong issue. Yeah, we cannot like for example, you know that we said from the conditions of the witnesses to be what? Pious, praying 5 daily prayers. So let's say that you got married and you didn't know about this, and the one who was witnesses actually they were drunken people, Muslims, but they don't pray, never been seen in the masjid, or So are we going to be saying, brother, your marriage is void? I think you're going to be making a lot of marriages void. True or not? So very few people, they know that the witnesses have to be praying 5 daily prayers. Did you know that before that? When you got married? You didn't know. You can't even remember who's your witnesses. Lots of people. No, really. Yeah. But nobody asked if that witness is just to be, he's my uncle, he's the eldest man, he will be a witness. And he'll be her uncle, for example, he will be a witness. But nobody asked, does he pray? Well, we don't know if he prays or not. That's not correct. He has to be pious. Shahida adl. But if they were not, and we found out he does not pray, so what should we do now? We say, well, marriage is void and all your children are haram that you made. It doesn't work like that. It's a bond. It's very hard to separate. Because one sheikh, he came to our city there, and in the tent it was, I remember his lecture, and he mentioned this. That, so many marriages are going to be void because of this. But he didn't say that the marriages, he said that it will be void if there's no witnesses, not just. So the old man is saying, my marriage is not halal, because the one who's witness is not. He made a big uprising there at that time, a protest. Now we have to really fix the situation. The sheikh meant from now on, you have to learn, you can't bring anybody to be a witness. Once, I myself called a person which is from Jordan to make a marriage between two people, and two people, one of them is related to me, and the other person was the groom is not. So I told the one who was making, because he's coming from the government, I can't do the marriage myself. So I told him that I will be coming, inshallah, but I was a bit late. Already he filled up the piece of paper. He's got massive sheets, the sheets of the marriage is like that. It's not like normal, massive, like that. They make it special. Massive like that. So he's already filled up the name before the signature of the witnesses. And he already put the witness is the uncle of the bride. And I know for a fact he doesn't pray a single prayer. I know for a fact. So I came here. I said, brother, did you, the one who was doing it? He's like he was my student before. I told him, Sheikh, did you ask if he prays or not? He never did that in his life. It's like that. I said, this person doesn't pray. So I said, he has to be taken off. Can't be in the registry. Now, to do that, it's going to be now, like I said, it's a very big issue. Ikhwani. Now, this person is pride now. He's the uncle of the bride. His name has been put there. And he's saying, take my name off. We had broken relationship between me and him for years after that. Now, I said, well, either the marriage is going to be valid or not valid. So the groom, he said, I want it to be valid. Remove him. The groom said, remove him. I don't want it to be valid. And then he started arguing with this person. So that means if I saw a crime, Somebody stealing, then my testimony is not going to be, it's not going to be accepted. Right. That is different case. Right, that's different case. Maybe the judge will accept it, maybe not. But in terms of this, it has been mentioned, Shahida Adl. Just like sacking the moon of the crescent for Ramadan. It has to be what? Also Adl. You can't just take somebody who doesn't pray, who doesn't fast, then, well, I've seen the moon. Let the moon for yourself. Maybe you're right or not, but we're not going to take your testimony. He has to be a pious person, only knowing Islam, knowing the Salah, Siyam, something. Anyway. Through a tangent here. Third, now we're coming now to the questions because we've got 9 minutes left. So we'll leave it here, inshallah, and leave it here the next time. And I would like everybody to come. Wallahi, they benefit. Wallahi, there are lots of things that the people, they don't know about the marriages. So let's just come make an effort at past 7. And I just suggested to the brothers or the admins to bring some kebab. Maybe we'll bring you, on time. Kebab is good. Khair, inshallah. Let's see the questions, please. Participate here. I've got one on the line.
I've got 2 questions.
Yeah,
anybody else has any before I ask?
You got the priority. If the time is finishes, I'm not going to go to online. Fadda, even the online, a bit more than you want, guys. Now.
The first one was you mentioned something about the contract of I think
What did I see, brother? I've seen you somewhere.
Check out, I can't remember.
Where did you see the last time?
The last one you saw me was in, I think, was in Crawley.
Crawley, mashallah.
Yeah,
The people living around here, they don't come. Coming from Crawley, mashallah. Fadda, Allah understand. Maybe it's an encouragement for the people. Fadda.
The contract, Chef. So you mentioned something about the contract. That if she has a contract, then the marriage or the clause is cut out.
She has a contract.
So before one of the, I think was,
if she proposed, you mean?
Yeah.
Now, if somebody had made a contract to a woman within her idda period, within that period, which we said, the period, like let's say, it is 3 months after irrevocable divorce, or 4 months and 10 days after her. Do you understand those idda? If you don't understand, don't worry, we'll come to this. I think I've seen you, Brixton. Yes. Yeah, Brixton.
I think I came to the Crawley one.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. But anyway, I just remembered you yesterday. Right. So coming back to it, I would say it's during the any marriage to take place, it is void.
Yeah.
It's invalid. Is that what you're asking about?
Yeah,
yes. So no, it has to be. That's where the consensus. No difference among all the madhab school of thought. Now, come here. Your breath is, mashallah, clean and nice and fresh.
So you mentioned father, if not brother, what's the position of mother?
For what?
Witness in it.
No. So we said as a wilaya, it cannot be women, it has to be a man. As for witnesses, we could say, yes, 1 man and 2 women. Even Ibn Hazm, he said 4 women is enough.
Wilaya is like not the guardian. So if say
The wali, the guardian. Yeah.
the guardian
Has to be male.
has to be made.
Yeah.
What if there is no male available?
What
Father.
do you mean there's no available? What is the availance?
He said father.
How did she come?
No, father died.
Brother died. Kill him.
Brother not agreed.
Huh?
Brother, he doesn't agree.
Well, that brother's a wali. Khalas.
Brother, because he doesn't. There is family problem.
Doesn't
So
matter.
brother doesn't want-
Family problem of family. He's a wali. If he is unjustifiably did not accept, and he is the wali, because we can't bypass him unless there's a grandfather or there's a son for that woman from another husband. Do you understand what I'm saying or not? That brother cannot just, he's no good, he's got family problem. It doesn't work like that.
So my question
He
is,
has, if he doesn't accept, and there is no justification of why he didn't accept, then she would raise her matter to the judge or the imam. And the imam will start talking, negotiating with her brother. And he saw that if her brother is having nonsense here and wasting time, then he would just bypass it. Then he might do it himself as a wali, or he would pass it to her cousin, for example. Do you understand? But he would take it over as well himself.
yeah, this is.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's make another 5 minutes. تفضل يا عمار. You have 2 questions? يلا يا عمار. Because the floor question is more important than يلا.
Well, what about the stepfather or a father who adopted the girl? Where is his position in the wedding?
It can't be a wali at all. So we don't have father adopted a girl. He cannot be a father. Okay, that's why the Prophet of Allah, when he adopted the so-called, that is Zayd, they called him Zayd ibn Muhammad, Allah Azza wa Jal commanded him to marry the divorcee of Zayd, which becomes like, according to the Quraysh, his daughter-in-law. She's not his daughter-in-law. Because of that, Allah commanded him that he said to him, he's gonna divorce her and you're gonna marry her. And he didn't want to do that. She's his cousin. He doesn't want to do that. Why he doesn't want to do that? It's not his cousin, but he used to see her as well all the time. Because people talk about, look, he's married to the son and daughter-in-law of his. He didn't want to. But Allah, he said, he started to arbitrate the Prophet of Allah between them. Maybe there's a problem, come on. Because he being told is what? They can divorce. He tried his best that maybe Allah Azza wa Jalla changed the decree. He tried his best, no, but they wanted divorce. After that, it happened, Allah commanded him to marry her. So he told Zayd to go, now he's going to go to his divorcee. Zayd, he said, when I went to the divorcee, it was a different woman. Was she going to be the what? The mother of the believers. She's the one who doesn't like her, the one who hates her. That's why he divorced her. Do you understand me? So now she said, SubhanAllah, when I came, it's different now. She's going to be the mother of the believers, the Prophet Muhammad. And she had got married. So, what was the question?
So you answered this thing about
Stepfather and adopted.
Yeah, so he cannot be. He cannot.
now in this country, the women get children. Let's say a man marries, another man marries daughter's mother, and he's now the father figure in the household. And her actual biological father is.
So his stepdad, you mean? Her stepdad. The same thing. Yeah. So that one, we say that because he's adopted is not his, but this one is his stepdad correctly. There was no stepdad, another one. The stepdad here is not, he has to be from the relatives of the women, not from her father's side. Do you understand me? Not from a relationship due to marriage. This relationship due to marriage, isn't it? It's because of her mother, she married to this man. No. Fun.
In some ceremonies with marriage contract, they offer it like 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
I think the person that offers, so let's say it's the imam that does the ceremony.
The imam does a ceremony.
He says, oh, would you take this woman for this X amount of dowry? And he says that 3 times. It doesn't have to be said 3 times, right?
Why does he even say that? I've never heard this. Is it
Yeah,
really?
they do. The Imam says 3 times. 2 in English, 1 in Urdu.
That's not right, is it?
What about Chinese? No.
No,
La hawla wa la quwwata.
no. You only ask once. You only ask once.
As I said to you before, remember ijab and qabul? Ijab and qabul, ikhwani, is to offer and to accept. Okay, he's offering his daughter. You're accepting? Yes. Salaam alaikum. It's finished.
You don't have to.
But no, 3 times, even with the etiquettes of those words. But I, such and such person, I offer you my daughter, such and such woman for their conditions and the man, no problem to say that. But it's not, like word for word, and the guy, he's shaking, and the groom is not thinking, make a mistake, and he's repeating word for word. Oh, have I made a mistake? Once I made a marriage like this, I said to the person, okay, say that I'm Muhammad, offering the daughter of mine to such and such. He said, another person, please, can you just indicate which daughter? Because he got many daughters.
That's wrong.
Wallahi. I'm sorry to say that he was an Arab. He's always the objective. I said he's going to offer somebody in his head something else. Let's say he made a mistake with the name. He said Aisha, and he want to offer Fatima. Who's going to go to marriage? Aisha or Fatima? To his intention. Nothing to do with the wordings. The wording could make a mistake because maybe he forgot. He said Aisha, but he meant Fatima, not the daughter of Aisha. Is he going to be married to Aisha? No. He's going to be married to the daughter whom he's seen her before, and they have an arrangement, but the father was shaken and he made a mistake. So to do with what? With the intention. SubhanAllah. But when the people are ignorant and they want to enforce their ignorance, you've got a problem. Brother, what are you talking about? Doesn't have to mention the name.
Sheikh, the question on the iddah with a woman who's pregnant, you mentioned that the iddah extends to 40 days after the delivery date. Is that correct?
No. I just said that this woman, if she wants to beautify herself, to come out when her husband is dead, she has to
You
finish.
know, the woman that's pregnant.
The woman is
her-
pregnant,
her
yes.
Husband has divorced her.
Divorced her.
and
She-
she's pregnant.
She's
She
pregnant.
delivers.
She delivers. She's now ready to go, but she cannot intercourse, is she, until she's 40 days. Yeah. Yeah, she could give birth, no problem. Alas, once she delivers, that's it. She's ready.
I just want to-
So not
Yeah.
after the first natal
No, no,
period.
No, no.
As soon as she delivers next. day.
Alas, she delivers. But nobody would marry a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, until
There
she
may be a
finishes the
situation, I
blood.
just want to
Yeah.
clarify.
Shit, don't you have to consummate the marriage after?
Well, it's not a condition of the nikah,
Condition.
not a condition of the nikah,
Yeah.
per se.
Mm.
That's a more complex issue. I don't want to keep shit for too long.
It's all right.
The second one, the shahid, the witness. Can it be the blood brother or the blood uncle, or does it have to be somebody outside the family?
No, it doesn't have to. It could be
Does
but
that
it cannot
mean-
be the wali. It cannot be the wali.
For anybody.
The wali cannot be active for two things. Okay? And also the one who's conducted the marriage, no problem, there's nobody, it could be the witness himself. Because the marriage it doesn't have to have somebody conduct it. It could just you conduct your marriage with your with your spouse, and as long as there's a present of two witnesses and the wali, no problem. Do you understand? So you don't have to be having this formality of a person. No. This person says, Inna alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa this is khutbat al-hajj. Start with it. And then he will ask, I want to ask. Okay, so no problem. But usually it's the case we have another person, a third party, to document things. Because documentation is very important these days. Before there was no documentation. Okay, any other questions? Fine. For the ones who are online, I really apologize because we have a class, I have to fly to it. With a rocket, inshallah. Subhanakallah, bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.